Mamas. I am excited to be going live again with you on this beautiful, beautiful day. I'm just checking my bits and pieces here. And I am excited because we're moving and we're in the middle of it. Chaos reigns supreme in our house right now. So I'm happy because I get to have a bit of a break from the lifting and the packing and all that stuff. But good to be moving and getting into the next season of what we have in our life right now. So I'm Miriam, founder and creator of Redemption Mamas, a place where I have journeyed myself as a mama, as a sister, as a friend, as a wife, a woman who has not always had it all together, been quite broken, been quite frustrated, been quite disappointed with life. And that's a very familiar story that I hear from many, many others as well. And I feel I can relate to it. So Redemption Mamas was birthed out of a desire to walk with women who have deep wounds in their life, hungry for heart healing, want to reclaim their personal power because that gets lost when we are in this broken state, and to walk in their God-given destiny. It's such a beautiful thing to understand what you're on this earth for. What is the purpose? What am I doing? Why am I doing it? That gives us so much energy and motivation to continue through every struggle, through every trial, and to keep pressing on and pressing on. So I've been doing a series of workshops called The Restoration of the Heart of a Woman, and I'm writing a series of books, the first to be published soon, which is Restoring the Heart of a Woman, Nurture. Nurture is a big part of us as women. We are just born and we are created to be nurturers. We give the life and we nurture from the egg to the end. We have just got such an innate, driven, creative desire within us to be nurturers. And when that gets robbed and when that gets lost, it's time to ask some questions. It's time to ask why, what's going on in my heart that is robbing me of this desire, because I don't believe the desire ever goes away. But what happens is that it gets crushed and squashed, and it's deep struggle on the inside because we are desperately wanting to give that love and that nurture to those in our lives that we've been blessed with, but we become incapable of it in a way that we desire. And that was my story. That was where I found myself in my 40s, unraveling in a big way, because I carried a whole lot of stuff in my life that was just getting in the way, and I kept tripping over it again and again. When you're in cycles, or when you're in rinse and repeat, doing round and round and round, it's a heart issue that's coming up that needs healing. When it becomes something that you just can't seem to be able to control, and you get triggered and you're reacting all the time, it's a heart issue. It's something going on at the very depth of your being, at the very depth of your heart. When we have good roots that we're really grounded in, we produce good fruit. When there's some bad stuff in there, right, even from the beginning, sometimes we can't produce the fruit that we desire. So walking in a healed heart, create in me a pure heart and renew a steadfast spirit in me. Did you hear that word, steadfast? I'll come back to that. But create in me a pure heart, the desire to have a heart that supports and undergirds our identity and frames up the future, enables us to live in the moment. That's the kind of heart that I was hungry for, but I didn't have, and I didn't understand why. In my journey of mentoring women, but good 10 years or so, I was on my own journey of really trying to understand what is going on inside of me. Why are my emotions like a roller coaster ride? Why am I up and down and all over the place? Why do I react all the time to the same old things? And what I learned is that as we go through life, things happen to us. Things happen to us sometimes that we have no control over, and it brings trauma into our life. Trauma is something that impacts us deeply. In fact, in my journey with women and in my own journey, I've noticed that where there's trauma in my heart, in my life, I stop growing emotionally. So when things happen, I react like the little child that got traumatized back in the day. When that same trigger point gets triggered, I react like the little child. And I don't want to, but I just can't seem to help it. Because trauma stops our emotional growth. Trauma blocks us growing emotionally and being able to be the people, to turn up and really be the person, the woman that we desire to be for our family, our friends, our marriages, everything, our work, you name it. So when we can identify that there's some trauma, we can bring healing to that. The other option, of course, is you just keep reacting like the 2-year-old or the 4-year-old or the 8-year-old, whatever it was at that point in your life when that trauma landed for you. You're going to be stuck there if you haven't brought some healing into that space. Now, for me, I tried counseling, I tried therapy, I tried psychology. And while it kind of did help bring me some way, it didn't give me the freedom that I was looking for. I was really hungry to be able to walk into a room and not get triggered by everything around, to be in a stress situation with my children or my husband and not be concerned that I was going to react. And this last few weeks of moving now, for the 7th time in 7 years, can you believe that? I have noticed some great things. I've noticed that before, where I might have reacted to my husband, where I might have got angry with him or, unloaded, vented, vomited my frustrations all over him, I now sense it coming. I'm like, all right now, I just want to you and tell you what I think. But I was really happy to be able to capture that and go, you know what? It's not going to really help. I feel bad, and making him feel bad isn't going to actually help the situation. And so over my last few weeks of this, stress situation, which they say moving is like a 10 out of 10 stress thing, I've noticed how I'm walking in my healed heart. Mostly my healed heart is manifesting and I'm not reacting and getting triggered by things that I would have once before. And I was pondering this during the week because I wanted to share with you today, what does it look like to be walking in a healed heart? What evidence is there for you to be able to see that things have changed and shifted in your life? When I was a child, was only over the last week or two that this was a memory that came up for me. When I was a child, if I got things wrong, I got really punished. I was the oldest of 5. I know my mum loved me. It's not that I'm suggesting it was a loveless situation, but this is all she knew. She knew an incredibly harsh upbringing. And while she knew that, she didn't want to bring the same level of harshness to her children's lives, which she didn't. But it was still harshness being filtered through. And, when a child gets things wrong, yes, sometimes it might be just sheer rebellion. Sometimes it might just be sheer not knowing and not being aware. We're childlike, we're childish, and we need to be taught and nurtured to step out of that and have strategies information that's going to support us to do that. For me, it shut me down because I was so afraid of getting it wrong. I was so afraid of being punished. And I noticed this in my relationship with my husband over the last few weeks when he would ask me stuff and I didn't know, or I hadn't factored that in. And I'd want to just unleash, do something to make me feel better because that would make me feel that little inkling of a wound. So, what I'm so excited for is that I didn't react, I didn't slam back at him, but I could see that this healing was really producing some good fruit. Thank God for that. It's been a good 20 years or so that I've been on this journey. So creating me a pure heart, that was my desire. That is just a premise that I wanted my heart to be pure and clean. I wanted it to be secure and strong. I didn't want to live with this stuff going on all over the place and causing me to be unstable and emotionally unstable. So once I understood that the trauma from my childhood of the punishment, and I've worked through this on many fronts over the years, and I've seen great healing. And in that healing has also been an ability to forgive my mum and understand, she was doing the best she could, but she brought the same filter of harshness that she had experienced, but maybe not quite to the same extent. So, walking in a healed heart for me has been a journey over several decades. And as I've stepped into mentoring women in that space, and that purely came out of others reaching out and saying, can you help me? I want to be able to, this or that, or I don't understand why this is going on for me. And I can't tell you that I know why, but I can tell you that I know the one who knows why. And that's the part of the journey that we go on as we seek the heart healing. We investigate, we get curious, we ask questions to try and get to where that trauma might have been, where that pain, that wound might have happened in our life. With trauma, the medical will often tell you that it can't be fixed. You just got to learn to live around it. And living around it is just plain hard work. It's like walking on eggshells and trying not to crush them. And it's too much. It's too hard. So when we do get to the heart issue, when we do unpack the trauma, it takes a lot of courage. It takes courage to face it and go, you know what? That is something I want to deal with. I don't want to live with that anymore, because along with it comes a whole lot of lies that while you were punished when you were a child for getting things wrong, your husband's going to punish you, your kids are going to punish you, life is going to punish you, and you believe that lie and live out of that filter. Can you see how debilitating that can be, how diminishing that can be, how that can just stop us from stepping into the place of boldness and courage, out of fear, into faith, believing that we can actually live life in a very different way. So walking in a healed heart, it's not having a perfect heart. I hope you heard that when I shared my story of the last few weeks, my story of moving. It's always a challenge. Moving is just plain hard work. But as my triggers started to rise, because I'm under a lot of stress and it presses down on you, I was grateful to see that my responses and my behavior and my actions and my words were much, much different. I remember a few times saying to my husband, right now, I don't have a lot of reserve left in me. I'm low on my resilience. I'm very low on my grace. But I was able to say that to him. And instead of just erupting and demonstrating it in a negative way. So for me, that was evidence that I've been walking in a healed heart. That pain, that pain of punishment, that fear of punishment doesn't have the same driver. It doesn't have the same impact on me as it has had over the years. So it's not a perfect heart we're walking in, but it's a surrendered one. Surrendering that heart, surrendering daily. For me, I know I practice daily alignment with God's word, his truth, with prayer, with not everyday journaling, but doing things that keep me in alignment, body, soul, and spirit. Because when I come out of alignment, my soul, my mind, my will, and emotions, when they come out of alignment, chaos seems to reign, and it's not nice. It's not how I want it to be. Then setting healthy boundaries, to protect what's been restored. If you've had some restoration in your heart, it's really important that you stay in a place that keeps that boundary of healing and restoration secure. For instance, if you've been struggling with alcohol, you don't take yourself down the pub every day. If you've been struggling in areas of lying or deception, you don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to have to lie your way out of it. Get out of there. Get out of there. Set some boundaries. And we can always put our hand up and say, no, I need space. So this is something in my marriage with my husband we had to learn to do, that when, I'm the one that wants to get things resolved yesterday, and he takes more time. So he would much more often than me be going, actually, I've got to set a boundary here. I've hand up. Hand up means stop talking, let me have some space, and let me figure out what's going on for me. That's an example of healthy boundaries in a relationship. But in heart healing, creating healthy boundaries is a really practical, essential piece to keep hold of that healing that you've encountered in your heart healing journey. Then community support, having a group of people, like-minded people around you that are pursuing the same thing. This has been absolutely the most wonderful thing in my own journey. It started with just one or two friends. We were seeking the same thing. We didn't feel like our lives were where we wanted them to be, and we were particularly concerned about our children, that there was robbery over their lives. My daughter, for instance, my oldest, was very creative, very great at music, and she was getting up into the higher levels of that. And as she did, she became sick and got chronic fatigue, and where she needed to practice, 4, 6, 8 hours a day, it became incredibly difficult for her to do that. So I could see, there's a robbery happening. What's going on? This is not good. And I'm so excited to see the journey that she went on as well, to combat that, to fight that in many ways, physically, emotionally, spiritually, but particularly in the heart healing space. And she became a concert pianist, traveled to New York. She had incredible opportunities. But at that point of me waking up and seeing something is robbing her, something is stealing her destiny here, and she woke up to it as well, heart healing became an incredibly big piece of that. And so I had some community friends. There's just 2 or 3 of us, and we journeyed together. And then the sphere influence grew, and more people could see the fruit of what was happening in our lives. And we're requesting and desiring for that to be part of their journey as well. So healing happens, and healing stays and is held on to when we have safe places that we can go, safe relationships, safe friendships, people we can trust, that when we share what's going on in our heart, they're not going to diminish us, denigrate us, put us down, and disqualify us as being a bit nutty. And that did happen. That happened quite a bit, because I realized that what was different for me was I was just not happy to sit in the status quo. I was just not happy to be another statistic of a mother or a wife that got divorced, that got, you know, eaten up in the struggle and the battle of life. I wanted to find freedom, and I wanted to be able to overcome and to see the things in my life that were being lost and stolen. I wanted to see them redeemed. Hence the word redemption mamas came out of this whole desire of that. So out of a healed heart, we see different fruit because we've got healed roots. The heart is at the seat of our emotions. The heart, I believe, is at the real core of our being. It's the place where everything flows. All the issues of life flow from the heart. All of them flow from the heart. The way we think, the way we feel, the desires we have. Our soul is very much embedded in that heart space. But as we bring that healing into our lives and we learn to walk in alignment, we can walk in a healed heart. Out of the healed heart flows forgiveness. I was so not able to forgive. In fact, I was so not able to say, I'm sorry. That was one of the hardest phrases for me to speak out in my early 30s and 40s. But I'm so grateful now that that is something I can say so much more readily because I know the power of forgiveness. I know that in the prayer that Jesus prayed, that if we don't forgive others, we can't be forgiven ourselves. So it's such a critical piece, forgiveness. So you can see that when the heart gets wounded and when the heart doesn't get healed, there's a lot of things that end up being compromised in our life. Freedom, being free to just be me and not care, not care anywhere near as much as I was caring. And being honest and authentic and genuine, I think that is another piece that when you walk in this heart healing journey and you pursue that space of healing, you walk in authenticity, you walk in a truth, you walk in a genuineness that can't be denied. Others might try to throw stuff at you and you'll see it doesn't stick because it can't stick because it's got nothing to stick to. All of that sticky stuff has been dealt with, it's been healed, it's been resolved, and that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then, of course, it looks fruitful. It looks like there's some good stuff happening. There's some good fruit happening in your life, in your journey. It's precious, it's beautiful, and it's just such an incredible thing to be able to continue to walk in a healed heart. For me, it's a journey that's ongoing. There's new seasons in my life. When I started this, I was a mother with 5 children, young up to teenagers. So, that was the season I was in then. Now I'm in a new season of grandmothering and no children at home. My husband is building a mountain bike lodge in a building that we own in Collie. It's been vacant for years. So this is a new season. I'm doing new things that I haven't done previously. So it brings new challenges, but I'm so grateful to have some strategies. I'm so grateful to have some understanding of when things are being triggered or when things, like in my last few weeks with my moving, I don't have to let that become my pattern or fall back into that as my preferred mode of operandi. Like, no, I don't want to operate out of reacting and triggered and abuse. I want to be walking in a very secure, strong place with my heart centered and healed and whole and restored. And if it's getting a little bit out of whack, to be able to bring it back into line. And that doesn't mean I'm always going to be walking in a perfect place, but I want to walk surrendered. I want to walk surrendered and allowing myself to see the fruit of the heart healing that I've experienced. You can walk in a healed heart. You can bring healing to the heart wounds that you've experienced. A lot of things that happen to us as a child, they're not our fault. It's not our fault that we carry these wounds. Excuse me. But as an adult, we can do something about it. We can take some action. So I've been sharing some tools that I've used on my journey. Last month was journaling. This month is Frame It Up. Frame It Up is a very practical tool. It involves physicality in our body. It involves our speech, our thinking. And so I'd like to share with you my strategy of Frame It Up to stay walking in a healed heart. Frame it up. This is a big one. It's all about the mind. What is Frame It Up? Frame It Up is a really powerful process of helping to reframe your thinking, to frame it up with a really powerful, healthy dynamic, using the imagination, using the mind. This is where the battle is won and lost a lot of the time. So Frame It Up is an exercise that I use a couple of times a day when it's in a perfect world, maybe a couple of minutes in the morning, a couple of minutes in the evening. And so often I'll do it as I'm waking up, and before I get going for the day or get out of bed, I just take that couple of minutes if I'm not too groggy and tired. And then in the evening, just as my head's going on the pillow, take another few minutes just to sit and really use my imagination to frame up the thing that I want to create, I want to see happen in my life. So it's for the dreams, it's for the visions, it's for the desires, it's for the things that are really something that you're longing for and you're hoping to see happen in your life. So framing it up looks like this. It's using your imagination to put yourself there. What does it feel like? What does it smell like? How does it touch and feel? How does it sound, this thing that you're wanting to frame up? Maybe it's just something like losing weight, or something like, a dream or a desire that you've had to be something, to do something. So say, for instance, it's to lose some weight. This is what I do when I'm imagining or framing up a time like that. I imagine myself wearing the very thing that I would never wear in my current state. I imagine myself wearing and walking and feeling the confidence, imagining myself in that place, already there, already achieved, already accomplished, already done. That's what framing it up's all about. And when you do this as a daily practice, whatever it is that you might be really wanting to see shift or move in your life, as you frame it up, morning, evening, there's one other thing that really helps during the day as you're framing it up. And that is an action, something that is going to remind you as the day progresses, as things happen in your day, of what this is that you're really desiring to see in your own life. Maybe something for me, if it was a weight issue, would be, walking in this really modeling kind of way and just thinking and imagining myself with that confidence, to just be on that catwalk, not be caring about what I look like or how I'm projecting my image. So just a simple movement like just that. What I would do is set my timer in my phone, say for 7 times in the day, 5 times, 7 times, 10 times, whatever's going to help you, depending on how aggressively you want to go after this. And when the reminder comes, just to do that movement, just to remind myself, that's where I'm going, that's where I'm becoming, that's what I'm stepping into. So framing it up is just totally exactly that, putting yourself into the place that you're not yet, putting yourself into how it's going to feel, look, sound, taste, touch, all of that stuff. And morning and evening is great. A couple of minutes morning, couple of minutes evening, and just letting yourself imagine what that's going to be like. You know, I love it. The Bible says that He gives and does for us even more than we can imagine or think, even more. So what we're doing with our imagination, it's limited, but He's not. He will bring even more than we imagine or think. And I know that that's been true for me in areas of my life that I have really lent in and pressed in and framed up that desire, that hope, that longing into almost reality, because my imagination is a pretty powerful thing, and so is yours. So use what you've been given, use your imagination, and start framing up things for you that might seem impossible, might seem beyond what you are ever going to be able to walk in and step into. But it's not about where you are, it's about where you want to be, where you want to go, what's calling you, what's speaking to you. Start framing it up. Put yourself in the picture. Put yourself in the picture of what it's going to be, of who you want to become. Frame it up. I can guarantee you'll be glad you did, because you're going to start to reframe your thinking. You're going to start to reframe your mindsets. You're going to start to even find yourself changing the way that you hold yourself, that you think about yourself, just by doing this very simple procedure. And it builds your spirit man up, because you're using this, and this is connected to your spirit. This is connected to a deeper part of you, not what you're thinking, but actually way beyond that. It's your spirit man coming to life and coming alive as you reframe what you are thinking, what you are looking for, what you are desiring, what you're hungering for. So that's my frame it up piece. You run with it, make it your own, do what you want. Well, it's quite funny, because right now I'm not fitting into my summer clothes nearly as well as I need to. So I've just set my alarm today, because I've been so busy I haven't done it, and I was reminded of I want to lose. I am losing some weight, so I'm grateful for that. But these are the things that help, and they give framework, they give some scaffold, and so do it. Just give it a try. I mean, it sounds a bit silly, but it actually works. It's a very powerful way to bring what you desire and what your heart desires for you into life, into your circumstances. And it's a simple little thing, losing weight. It's not quite as deep as maybe dealing with abuse or things that have caused deep wounds. And so in that journey of healing and community, you know, join my Redemption Mamas Facebook group, Heart Healing group. I can try and remember to put that in the description of this video. And as you journey with others that are seeking the same thing, it just is going to support you and undergird you. It's a really exciting way to live. So to finish off each workshop of late, my husband's here making a coffee, so sorry for the noise. He's such a darling. Yeah, he's got the look like, am I in trouble? Anyway, I wanted to do some breathing. Breathing has become a very powerful tool for me. I've found it to be so incredibly beneficial in many ways. So breathing is a way to connect with your heart, connect with what your heart's desiring, connect with what your heart's wanting. And if we don't do this, if we just keep going and we don't stop and we don't create space for this, then of course nothing changes. It's the same old Same old cycles, same old patterns, and it's not nice, but it can be changed. So I'd like you to just place your hand over your heart, and we're going to start some breathing, just some deep breathing through the nose and then out through the mouth. Let's try and breathe in for 6 and out for 6. You ready? In, 6, out, 2, 3. Again, in, out. Again, in. This time, we want to breathe in and hold and breathe out. So we're going to breathe in for 6, hold for 6, out for 6. Breathing in, hold, out. Again, in, hold, out. One more time, in, hold, out. Just get into a steady rhythm of deep breathing. Really bring that oxygen into your bloodstream, and it helps to awaken our senses, our spiritual senses. It helps to awaken our heart. Just keep breathing. And I want you to ask, Lord, show me one area in my heart you want to heal today. Ask the question, what is an area in my heart that you want to heal today? Keep breathing. Lean in and listen. And if nothing's come to you just yet, don't stress. You might just need more time. And you can take more time and do this yourself. But ask the question, what is one area in my heart you want to heal today? Now, I know for me, it's the issue of discipline. I've been undisciplined with my eating. I've been, one or two too many cakes, too much sugar, too many carbs, on stacks the weight, especially at my stage of life. And so I know that I want to ask for strength and healing in that area of self-control and discipline. And so my frame it up will be as I shared with you in the video earlier. That's going to be my action. That's my action step. It's going to be my intention for the week, to when I hear that alarm go off, that I respond and on the catwalk, strong, confident shoulders, to bring about an alignment with my mind, my will, my emotions, my body, my soul, my spirit. And in bringing those things into alignment, I then start to see fruit of healing in my life.